Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Iconic Conversation series. We're having an iconic conversation with Chelsea Tipton, who is a symphony maestro here in Beaumont, Texas. For the purpose of our show, an icon is a person or thing meant to be revered or idolized. And in our series, we're interviewing people in our community who are worthy of being recognized for their positive efforts to be role models for future generations. So, let's start with a simple background question.
Yes. Yes.
Were you born and raised here in Southeast Texas?
I was born in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yes, near Tulsa. And my parents, both are musicians.
Cool.
They worked in the black colleges. My dad played clarinet, and I play clarinet. My mom plays trumpet. My brother plays trumpet. And they taught at Langston University in Oklahoma, which is where I was born. Mm-hmm. And then they went and did some more schooling. We landed in Hampton, Virginia, where he was the department chair of the music department there for 5 years. And then we moved when I was in 4th grade to Greensboro, North Carolina. And that's where, when people say, "Where are you from?" I say Greensboro, because that's where my parents live. And I go there 2 or 3 times a year. So yeah, it's been kind of a journeyman thing, but we really settled in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
It was a great place to grow up.
Awesome. So how long have you been in Beaumont?
This is my 11th season with the Symphony in Southeast Texas, my 10th year as the living here in Beaumont. So my first year, I had 1 year left on my contract with the Toledo Symphony, so I was commuting. I'd come down for a month,
wow.
I would come down for a week, do my rehearsals, concerts, and then go back up to Toledo. And it was a nice thing because it was a chance for me to have one last time around the track in Toledo, where I did a tremendous number of concerts, and it really prepared me for my work here.
Nice. Did you have any experience with the school systems here?
No, this has been, and what people think with the Symphony of Southeast Texas is that we're part of Lamar, or we're part of a school. We are a professional orchestra unto itself. It's been around, this is our 67th season.
Wow.
And it started as a community orchestra, and now we are a professional orchestra, which means all the members of the orchestra are paid on stage, including myself. And it's been a really fantastic growth period these 10 years that I've been here.
That sounds awesome. You had to start from a community and then become a professional organization. I mean,
Well, it says a lot about the orchestra, but it also says a lot about the community, that they've supported an orchestra for that amount of time. We want to make the experience as impactful as possible.
Tell me more about your profession. What made you choose to become a maestro? Just in your family?
Yeah, I mean, since my parents were both music educators, they taught in the public schools, they taught in black colleges. Education in general has just been a really important platform for me. I started as a clarinet player, and I went to college at Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York. Very cold, upstate New York. Yeah. And I was playing in an orchestra. I played clarinet in an orchestra. And I was playing, and I thought to myself, I wish the tempo would be a little bit faster or a little bit slower. And I realized I could not control those things from the clarinet position. So I realized that I needed to become a conductor to do this. So I got my friends together, and we put together a piece, the Dvorak Wind Serenade. And I got them all together, and we started playing. I was conducting, started playing. And then we stopped in the rehearsal, and I thought, I don't know what to say. Let's just play it again, And that's when I realized how hard it is to conduct, because you have to have good ears, you have to know how to work with people, motivate people, inspire people, get people to come to the concerts, raise money in the case of a professional orchestra. I didn't understand all those types of complexities that were involved in it. Yeah. So I left Eastman School of Music. I finished my degree there in clarinet. Went to Northern Illinois and studied conducting there, got a master's degree in that. And then that started my path of less clarinet and more conducting. And it's been an incredible journey.
I believe it. From my experience as a child, we started in the band in elementary school. Mm-hmm. At first, I started on the flute, and I was like,
go woodwind. That's right, clarinet, woodwinds.
And my sister played clarinet, so I tried to play her clarinet. And I wasn't really happy until I got to the trumpet. And then I went to the brass section, I played the French horn. And from that experience itself, it just grew. Music has always been a part of me, especially with the band. But I mean, took it further and you became a conductor. So I think that's really great.
And when people ask me, what is conducting? They think it's me waving my arms. They think it's the musicians there. It's really management. It's managing these egos, managing these people, managing these people's expectations, and trying to inspire them. That's what's really difficult. The waving the arms part, the playing part, that's important too. It's got a place. But the hardest part is the music, is the interaction between person to person.
Right. Just making sure that they can work together.
Working together.
Beautiful.
That's right.
So would you consider your parents as your biggest inspiration?
Yes. Yeah, without question. My dad was an amazing man. Always he taught me to be focused and to work hard. Nice. Always work hard. Always go after what you want is at the highest level of excellence. He never said perfection. You need to be perfect. There is no perfect in art. There's no perfect in life. There is excellence though. You can always strive for excellence. And then my mom has taught me to be kind and compassionate to people. Be respectful of people. Even if they're not respectful to you.
Right. And it's hard. Yeah. But it is, you have to be respectful.
You have to be respectful.
Talk about your upcoming projects that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking a little bit before we came on camera here, and I was telling Xania about this project with the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And it's something that's never been done here in the Symphony in Southeast Texas, in this region, where we'll have the orchestra on stage, and we'll have the Wizard of Oz shown above the orchestra. And so I have a clock, and I have to conduct the music and make sure that we meet in certain measures at certain points on the clock. And it's extremely difficult. Lots of tempo changes, and it's not, I thought the hard part was going to be when they're singing on the screen. We're off to see the Wizard, the Wonderful Wizard. that's normal stuff. The hard part is when they're talking, there's dialogue, and the orchestra's background. There's nothing to really lock in on. So this will be a tremendous challenge for the orchestra, and it'll be a tremendous challenge for me. That's a great project that I have coming. We want to give great music, but we also want to bring the community in and figure out ways to get people excited about classical music. Not always easy.
Is the new Wizard of Oz play that you have, is that going to be your most enjoyable project that you'll be working on this year?
I think that will be the most challenging because it's something outside the box. I love all the concerts that I do. Another concert that I'm doing at the end of the year is the New Year's Eve concert with the Greensboro Symphony Orchestra.
Nice.
I grew up in Greensboro. It's the first time I will have conducted the orchestra.
Really?
And so family and friends will all come and see it, and that's going to be a meaningful concert.
Before you begin, do you get performances of it?
I get excited. I get most nervous for rehearsals.
Okay.
And rehearsals are where you can say something to upset someone.
Okay.
You get problems in the rehearsal that you can't figure out, and the thing that you want in a rehearsal is you want the orchestra that sounds like at this level at the beginning of rehearsal, you want them to sound at this level. It doesn't have to be a lot better, but you want it to be better at the end of rehearsal. I talk to kids about being nervous and being excited. I think there's a difference. When you're nervous, your hands get sweaty, your mouth gets dry, your being able to function to perform your instrument or for me to conduct gets compromised. So you don't want to be that, but you don't want to be like, just sitting in your kitchen type thing. You want to have somewhere in between. Excitement, you want to be excited about the concert, but not too excited. You want to be focused. My problem I used to have when I was just starting out as a conductor is that you have the baton and it magnifies all your movements.
Right.
I'd be so nervous. My hands would be shaking. And it's amplified by the baton. So I'm trying to conduct, I'm trying to be relaxed and everything, and my hand is shaking. So that's being nervous. Yeah. And over time, you get control of that. Every once in a while it happens, but in general, I'm in pretty good control of it now.
That's awesome. Dream performance location.
Let's see. one of my dream performance locations has been Carnegie Hall.
Cool.
Yeah, I did a concert with the Stings organization, which is an amazing organization for African American and Latino young people who are string players, and they have this competition. And it started maybe 20 years ago, and I've been a part of that. I worked with their artists and everything. We did a tour, and it culminated at Carnegie Hall.
Nice.
One of the biggest musical experiences I've had, and tiring, was back in 2011. I did a tour with Sting over in Europe, and we went to 14 countries and 19 different orchestras in 2.5 months. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but the most amazing thing. And again, you know, we work in the nonprofit side, nonprofit structure. The art studio is nonprofit structure. Libraries are, and schools. Sting is for-profit, very for-profit, big money. And to sort of see that side, I was just a spoke in the wheel. I mean, it wasn't my show, it was Sting's show, but so it allowed me to kind of like, wow, so this is what this type of life is like. It's not a bad gig. However, people romanticize, like, oh my goodness, you went on the road with Sting. It's a hard life.
It is.
It's a hard life. It's getting up early. It's traveling from country to country, tired. And every show is the first show for those people in the audience. So you have to bring it every single night.
Yes, you do.
So
they're not expecting anybody that's tired.
They don't care. No, and nor should they care. But that was an amazing experience.
I imagine. That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about last year. Just from 2019, do you have a project or event that you were most excited or happy to work with?
You know, our season for a symphony is like a school year.
Okay.
So it goes from September to April.
Okay.
In December of it was part of this last season, December of 2018. So we're in the middle of the season.
Okay.
George Bush passed away.
Right.
And I'm in rehearsal, our holiday concert rehearsal, which was like December 2nd or something. I'm in the rehearsal, and I get one rehearsal for this, so I'm like really focused. My phone kept ringing. And so at the end of rehearsal, so it was my manager who called, and Mayor Sylvester Turner, who's the mayor of our great town of Houston, he wanted me to conduct at this memorial concert for Mr. Bush, President Bush, who passed away. And it was like a crazy 36 hours because I was about to leave town the day after our concert and do some other concerts. So we had to contact the other orchestra. I could get there a little bit later, and I didn't have any music, and they give me the music at the last minute. But it was just to be part of that experience. And again, I'm just one spoke in the wheel. There was a lot of other things that were bigger things that were happening. But to be able to conduct the Houston Symphony and to be part of that was one of those. That's like 36 hours. I was like, really cool, 36 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't get the music until like 2 hours before the rehearsal, which is insane. I mean, that's just never. It doesn't work that way. But this was an extenuating circumstance, and we were all trying to put something together to honor him at the last minute.
So. And I think it was amazing.
It was an amazing thing. Yolanda Adams was on the program. She was a gospel singer, and she was working it. And things went wrong. Things went during the TV broadcast. Things went wrong, and you just go and flow, and it all worked out in the end.
Yes. Okay, if you could work with anyone that was dead or alive, who would it be?
The person I would like to meet, who's no longer with us, is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Oh gosh, yes.
I guess you could call him a decomposer. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. But I'm a big fan of his music. I think his music. He just sounds like he'd be just crazy to be with and work with and get to know. And I don't know. That's someone I would love to meet. I would also love to meet Barack Obama.
Yes.
I would really love to sit down and have dinner with him. You don't even have to talk. Just listen to him, you know? just be around.
Yeah, it's a lot with his just aura.
His aura, his presence. He's so intelligent. He's so smart. And I tell you, the night that he became president, he was elected president, and I think he was doing a thing outside in Chicago, and Yes We Can, and I thought to myself, I literally thought to myself, I can do anything. To see someone of color rising to the level of President of the United States, because I didn't think I'd ever see in my lifetime.
Right.
I thought to myself, I can do anything. So,
right.
I
He changed a lot of expectations.
He did. He did.
What do you want to be known for? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
I love martial arts. I love martial arts, and this leads into the answer to this question.
Okay.
I love martial arts, and I've studied it for 15 years. I'm not very good at it, but it's just something. It's exercise. It's social, you know. And I've always wanted to go to Japan, and I love the concepts and the Budo principles of the samurai. And the samurai's purpose in society was combat, you know, the sword and everything, but also to serve.
Right.
And that's the basis of what how I try to live my life. How can I serve the community? How can I serve the music? How can I serve the musicians so they can have the best experience?
Right.
It's easy for conductors to get like, oh, this music sounds so good because I'm standing up there conducting. No, it's because they've given you that privilege. And so to remain humble, and I think that's what I love about martial arts. It's humbling to me. And I think that's a good reminder for me that it's not about me, it's about we. And the word I try never to say on the podium, the pronoun that I try never to say on the podium is I. I need it faster, I need it slower, I need it softer, I need it louder, not I. Could we try it just a little bit louder? Could we try it, we, us, them, together? It's about doing this together. So the legacy is how I would want people to say Chelsea really served the community to the highest level that he possibly could. And wherever he lived, he tried to raise the aura of that community in some fashion.
Gotcha. What changes do you think we need for our community?
I think the nation as a whole is pretty disconnected.
Yes.
We need unity.
I agree.
We need unity, and that's a very general answer to your question, but I think it's a principle that can be applied to everything. One of the things that I've tried to do here, and I constantly try to get more diversity in our audience, more diversity in our programming, pieces that we select and that we play and perform, more diversity in our artists that we have to come and play with the orchestra. We don't do a lot of concerts. That's part of the problem. If we did more concerts, it would be easier to get more diversity. But you know, I just did a Martin Luther King concert in South Bend, Indiana, a couple of weeks ago, about a week and a half ago. And it was really cold there, very cold. But the orchestra played well. We had some great music by Black composers, and I didn't see many Black people in the audience. And I want to change that. And one of the things I told this orchestra, I said, you know, we need to, you all, because I'm just a guest conductor in this case, to take the orchestra out into the community and build that trust. And we really try to do that with the symphony here. We take the orchestra out to Orange, to Port Arthur. We do a holiday concert there. And it's not enough for arts organizations to say, you come to us. We have to be willing to go out into the community and share our gifts. And then maybe that might build that trust where people will come. I want more diversity in the arts.
I agree. I think that the arts is something that we're lacking on as far as in our community itself. Either they don't want to display it for other people, or they think that, oh, because I'm a color, nobody's going to want to see it or even show it in their exhibits that they have here. I think that it would be a great idea to try and get a place or events where we can have more recognition for all of those Black artists that we have here, and just, you know, help build each other up. I think it would definitely help unify us a little bit.
I think that phrase you just said, build each other up, is so key.
Yes,
that is so key. The way to do that is not clear. You know, you do the best you can. You try this, you try that. But if there's one thing that I want to continue to try to develop here, is creating more diversity with our orchestra and with our audiences.
That's great. Maybe I'll like trumpet with you.
Absolutely. There you go. Get Carl up there too. I see you.
What advice would you like to give to the younger generations that may want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, I tell young people when they say they want to go into music or they want to go into art. We're in this wonderful art studio here. Lots of the people who create their art here have other jobs, they have families, they have other things. It's never a linear path. It's never a straight line. I want to be a conductor, so I'll do here and go to there.
Right.
It's left, right. It's disappointments. It's successes. It's more disappointments. It's learning. That you have to be open to the path. Now, you gotta have a plan. You gotta have a plan, because the plan needs to be organic and flexible, but it kind of keeps you going in the right direction as things can come along to pull you off the direction of the path.
Just keep your goal in mind.
Keep the goal in mind, your purpose.
Positive and negative things that may come.
Absolutely. If you want to go into the arts, you need to be passionate about it. You need to have passion and focus, get the best education, get the best equipment, and then just get in there and just work really hard. It's not, I think a life in the arts is difficult because you're constantly not good enough. You constantly feel like it can be better, and it can. Every concert, I walk off the stage, I'm like, oh, that was a good concert. This could be better, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better. And that's a driving force, and it can be difficult, you know, on how you feel about yourself. The benefit of sharing your art, that's where the glory of it comes.
I mean, anything that you do, you want to have a passion for it. I mean, some people, they go into these careers because they're like, oh, it's going to pay better, or it's going to give me a better life, but in the end, you know, you're still not happy.
Yep.
Because it's not what you want to do. If you want to pursue something that you have a passion for, you have to be able to accept that there are going to be ups and downs with that, as well as really good times when you're performing or sharing it with people. I mean,
and really bad times too.
Mm-hmm.
The worst experience I've ever had. Should I share that with you?
Yeah.
The worst experience in music was April 6, 2019. We had our season finale concert. We had the orchestra on stage, we had the choir on stage. I came out, bowed, started the concert, and about 5 minutes into the concert, I hear a crash to my left, and one of our violinists was on the floor, and he wasn't moving. Stopped the concert. We had people that come from the audience who were doctors and nurses, and they started CPR, and he passed away on stage. Have someone to lose their life, it really crystallized to me that your life can change on a dime. And so you better taste it and absorb it every moment, because you don't know when it's gonna be taken away from you. His wife was sitting right next to him, playing violin, and this tragedy happened. So back to your question, back to your statement about passion. There are ups and downs, and we had to bring ourselves and get ourselves back together and move on eventually.
So do you have any hidden talents or business interests outside of being a maestro?
Thing that I'm most kind of un-maestro-ish, like I love working out, love the gym and everything. But the jiu-jitsu, I've been studying jiu-jitsu for about 11 years now. And I see a lot of correlations between martial arts and musical arts. I started with Aikido, which is, I did that for about 6 years when I lived in Toledo. The thing I love about Aikido was it talks about trying not to hurt your opponent, not to hurt your attacker. And you can't always do that. But is there a way to diffuse it, take his balance, or take her balance, or use a wrist lock that doesn't harm the person? It's easy to hurt people. It's easy to break someone's arm, break their nose. But can you de-escalate things without having to harm the person? That is a great principle. And also the founder of Aikido talked about the principle of peace. Jiu-jitsu is a little bit more of a sport. It's a very effective martial art, ground fighting. But I just love the concept of combat. And I'm not a violent person. I don't like to hurt people. I don't want to hurt people. But those principles of combat, I just find very fascinating. It's a passion, and it takes my mind off of music for an hour or two.
It's good to have something separate from what we're passionate about, because I think it keeps the passion going for what you really want to do. It just gives you that little break that you need in between.
I like to travel. I like to go to other countries, see how other people think, how they live. I study my art form is mainly a European art form. Brahms, Beethoven, Germany, France, England, and that sort. But to go to those countries and see how those people live and think, it opens your eyes, and it also makes you very grateful for what you have here.
Talk about your travel. You were jiu-jitsu. Do you have any spare time?
Oh yeah, I got spare time. It's my life goes in clumps. So this week is a kind of free week. Next week I'll be doing media stuff and rehearsing at night and then getting ready for the concert, which will be a week from this coming Saturday. And then I'll be in a kind of a phase for about 3 weeks of concerts and rehearsals, travel, and that type of thing. And then I'll have another 2 weeks where I'll be off. Now during the 2 weeks I'm off, I'm preparing for my next adventure, my next musical adventure. But this type of lifestyle, you have to be disciplined, because really there's no one standing over me saying you got to go study, you got to go work on your ear training, you've got to go work out so you can keep your mind straight. And watching the news. I like to watch the news.
Just to wrap everything up.
A nice, neat bow.
Yes. In your own words, describe what it means to be an icon to you.
Well, it goes back to kind of the legacy question. An icon is someone who serves the community, serves the people, lifts other people up. The first time I taught at a college, I taught music appreciation. This was 25, 30 years ago at Central Michigan University, and they gave evaluations from the students, and they said that I was condescending, and which was good for me to know, good feedback. I was talking down to them, and so over those 4 years that I worked there, I worked to try to make it so that I was lifting them up and not talking down to them, because I knew that I wanted to be a professional conductor. And so if I'm talking to audiences, I certainly don't want audiences to feel I'm talking down to them. I want to lift people up. And I think an iconic person realizes that they have the power to make the community better. And it's not about them, it's about we-ness. It's about coming together as people.
Thank you guys for watching an iconic conversation with Chelsea Tipton. He is the maestro of the Symphony of
Southeast Texas.
Symphony of Southeast Texas.
You're good. You proud of her?
Hands down.